All right, sometimes this happens once in a while. Facebook doesn't cooperate, so let me get reconnected here. All right, we should be good. I'll just double check. Oh, excellent. Okay, got it fixed. All right. All right, well, we'll go ahead and get started. Good afternoon as of 2 minutes ago. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. This is our second network welcome of the day. So some of you are joining us twice. Thank you so much for being here. We have had, I'm booking these out into September. So we're starting to do 2 a day at some points. So thanks for hanging in there with us. My name is Jamie Chavez. I'm the president and CEO of the Westminster Chamber of Commerce, and I am glad to have you all here. If this is your first time joining us, thank you for joining us. You can like and follow us on Facebook to make sure that you get notifications for when we go live in the future. Or if you're on YouTube, you can hit subscribe and watch all of our previous broadcasts there as well. We also offer broadcasts on Monday that are for city updates, interviews with our mayor, mayor pro tem, city council, and key city staff. So that's your invitation to see what's going on down at City Hall. So be sure to join us for those ones as well. And as you watch this broadcast, feel free to engage with us, ask questions, put comments, or just say hi, and we'll get to those during the interview. And now a warm welcome to Tom Rogers with McAir Aviation. How are you this afternoon?
I'm great. I appreciate you having me. I'm excited to be here and talk about what we do and pilot training and, get more involved in the community. So I appreciate the time.
Yeah, I'm excited for this interview too. I don't know how much people know about McAir Aviation. So I'm going to just start out by letting you tell us what is McAir Aviation and what is your mission?
Yeah, so we are a flight training school, a professional pilot training school located at the Rocky Mountain Metro Airport in Broomfield. We have been here at the airport for over 30 years. So we focus on training professional focused pilots. So pilots who want to make a career, maybe go on to the airlines, fly as a commercial pilot. We do the training for that. So we'll start out with, basic private pilot training, progressing through instrument rating, commercial pilot, and then flight instructor. And then we have a lot of our students who, once they get their flight instructor license, they'll work for us and they train the next generation of student pilots. So we're about making careers in aviation. So people who want to make a career as a professional pilot, that's what we're here for.
Awesome. I'm excited to talk about this. We've never really had someone like this on the broadcast. So glad you're here today. For someone who's never been to McAir, what would they see when they walk through the doors?
So it's super active. When you walk through the front door, we have our main dispatch area, and it's kind of the hub of our operation. All day long, student pilots and flight instructors are gathering at the front desk to check out the airplanes. And then we have a whole ramp of aircraft. We have 42 aircraft in our fleet right now.
42?
Yes. The majority of them are pretty much brand new Cessna 172S models straight from the Cessna factory that we've taken delivery on in the last couple of years. So we have a pretty advanced fleet of training aircraft. I personally have been involved in general aviation and flight training my entire career. And we are very fortunate here to be backed by a lot of good financial support to have the aircraft fleet that we do. I mean, this is the nicest aircraft fleet for any flight school that I have ever seen. And now I'm running the operation. So it's great for our students and our pilots and CFIs that they get to fly these aircraft every day because they're top of the line airplanes for flight training. So yeah, it's a great offering that we have. They have advanced avionics. So for somebody who's trying to be a professional pilot, it really starts their training out from day one using advanced cockpit avionics. So when they make that transition to go to the airline and start flying the big boys, like 737s and Airbus A320s, they're more familiar with advanced avionics and things like that. So we're proud to be able to offer that to our students. We also have 2 flight simulators in the back of our building where we do flight simulator training. So a portion of that is done on the ground in a flight simulator before you ever actually go to the aircraft. And we have various classrooms and debriefing rooms where students and flight instructors can meet one-on-one and do ground training as well. Because a large portion of flight training is on the ground. There's a lot of ground knowledge and regulatory knowledge that you have to know, aside from actually physically flying the airplane. So there's a lot going on. There's a lot of moving parts on a day-to-day basis, but it's a lot of fun. It's an exciting career. I always tell people who are looking to get into this that, going up and flying an airplane all day is better than sitting in a cubicle in some dimly lit office, right? So it's a fun career, and everybody enjoys it. Everybody here has a passion for aviation. So it's a lot of fun.
I have so many questions. This is all new to me. How many students do you train each year? Like, how many people come to you and want to become pilots?
So currently right now, we have around 450 students.
Holy cow. Okay.
Yeah, we have a lot of students. We have about 450 students, and we have about 70 flight instructors. We also have 2 locations. I don't know why I didn't mention that in the beginning. Our main location is here at BJC at the Rocky Mountain Metro Airport. But we have a satellite base at the Colorado Air and Spaceport in Watkins over in Adams County, so a lot closer to DIA. We just opened that at the end of last year, so we're really expanding the operation, and we have 6 airplanes over there now, in addition to the rest of our fleet here at BJC, and about 7 flight instructors. And so we've got about 30 students down there. So it's kind of a satellite operation. We're just getting it up and running, but we want to provide multiple training locations in the Denver metro area for people who, live in different locations in the area. So it's an exciting time for our business. We're growing, we're expanding. We've got 6 brand new airplanes coming from Cessna next month, actually, that we're going to add to the fleet. We keep growing, and there's a huge demand for pilots in the airlines. So we want to be a part of helping create new pilots and be a part of the solution for the commercial pilot pipeline.
Yeah, that's amazing. So what would you say is the average age for people coming to get their pilot's license or pilot training? Is it like younger adults, or are you saying older adults that are wanting to do something different?
Yeah, it typically is younger adults. So regulatory wise, you have to be at least 17 years old to take a private pilot check ride. So you could start as early as that. I mean, we have a handful of students here who are still actually in high school, and they're getting a leg up and starting their training early. I would actually, give that advice to somebody who's interested in a career in aviation and wants to be a professional pilot. Start as early as possible, because the sooner that you can get your training done and get your licenses and ratings, you can go to an airline and fly for a regional airline when you're 21 years old. So
that was going to be my next question. 21 years old.
Yeah, you have to be 21 to get an airline transport pilot certificate, which is the license that you have to go fly for an airline. Mm-hmm. But the earlier you start, the earlier you can start working. And once you get to the airlines, it's all about seniority. So that's why I give the advice of start as early as you can if this is what you want to do as a career. Because once you go to an airline and you check that box on your seniority number, then you just keep moving up. And at that point, that's where the pay increase comes, and the schedules get better. And so seniority is the name of the game at the airline. So if that's what you want to do, it's really good to get in early.
That's good to know.
Aside from that, though, I would say that the large majority of our student pilot population is, early 20s. We partner with MSU, Denver. So we are a flight training provider for MSU's aviation program. So we have a lot of MSU students that come train with us. And then people, who have just graduated college and they want to go do flight training and make this a career. So I would say in the 20s age range is the large majority of our population. But I mean, sometimes we see student pilots who come in here that are career changers, that are, a little older. They're in their 40s and they had a previous career and decided they wanted to become a pilot and go into aviation. So, it kind of runs the gamut, but anybody that wants to fly and learn aviation, that's what we're here for.
And so do most of the people come to you, are they looking to fly commercially, or do people come to you just because they want to fly their own private jet, or who are you training?
So we are more of a professional pilot academy style business. We focus on the student who really wants to make it a career. There are a lot of flight schools out there and that are great, like for people who just want to get a private pilot's license and they want to own their own Cessna and, fly around for recreation or as a hobby. There's a lot of flight schools out there that do that. We're more focused on the career track pilot. So we're a more academy style, more structured training. We are an FAA approved Part 141 flight training school. So that means that our entire flight training curriculum has been approved by the FAA. And it's more like I would think of it more as like a college course. So every curriculum from private pilot through commercial pilot and flight instructor, it's very structured. There's, stages and lessons and particular things that you're doing on that lesson every day with your flight instructor. So that kind of structured training is what we provide here. Whereas compared to, other flight schools who might focus on the week, we call them weekend warriors who just do it for fun.
Yeah.
That's called Part 61 flight training. And that's just where you and a flight instructor, I'm a student pilot, you're a flight instructor, I want to learn how to fly. And we just go up and you teach me how to fly. We don't really do that here. We're more focused on the academy style professional pilot track.
Okay, great. I saw that you offer discovery flights. What is that experience like and who is that for?
Yeah, we do. So anybody that's interested in aviation, I highly recommend you take a discovery flight. That's kind of step one. We host a lot of tours for potential students who are looking to start their flight training and they come here. We have a whole admissions team that, we'll give you a tour of the building and then we get them signed up for a discovery flight. And what that is about a 1 hour flight where you and a flight instructor will go up and it's, your first taste of flying an airplane. And you get to actually take the controls and fly the airplane. So we make it fun too. We take off out of BJC. If you're familiar with the airport, it's kind of built right up next to the mountains. So when you take off, it's a gorgeous view. We typically take people and go fly over Red Rocks, and then we'll circle over downtown Denver, do a little sightseeing, kind of make it fun, and then come back to the airport and land. But that is step one for anybody that is interested. I highly recommend that you book a discovery flight, and we do them every day. So anybody that's interested, come see us, and we'll take you up, and we'll go fly around the mountains.
Okay, I think you touched on this, but how long does it typically take? Like if somebody walks in the door with zero experience, how long does it take from that point to becoming a commercial pilot?
So if you want to make it a career, the path that most people take is they get their private pilot's license, then an instrument rating where you learn how to fly the aircraft just solely based on the instruments, not looking outside. And then the next license is commercial pilot. So you get that and you can then be paid to be a pilot as a commercial pilot, a commercially rated pilot. After that, typically what people do is they will get their flight instructor license. And that is the quickest way to build your flight time. You have to have a minimum of 1,500 flight hours to go to the airlines.
Okay.
So most people get their commercial pilot's license around 250 to 300 hours. And then after that, they'll get their CFI rating and then they can teach. And that at that point is what, I'll hire you to work for me and you can train our students. And that is how people typically build their time to the 1,500 hours to go to the airline. I would say the whole time frame for your flight training, just your training to get all the certificates and ratings that you need, takes about 12 to 14 months. And then if you want to go the route of becoming a flight instructor and you get that rating and you start instructing, to build the time to the 1,500, I would say is generally about another year to 18 months. So I would say give or take a few months, 2.5 years, you could be from zero time all the way going to your first job at a regional airline.
All right, perfect. And what would you say are like some misconceptions people might have about learning to fly?
That's a great question. I think that people probably underestimate the amount of time that it takes on a personal level. Like it's a big investment. It's not just going and hopping in an airplane and, learning to climb, turn, descend, land, that sort of thing. There's a lot of investment on the ground. the ground training and the knowledge that you have to have.
Yeah.
And our flight instructors are great about that. They do a lot of great work one-on-one, teaching our student pilots what they need to know on the ground in terms of, FAA regulations and, if you're getting an instrument rating, how to read an instrument approach plate or how to read the VFR sectional charts. And there's so much stuff that you have to learn on the ground. And I think people probably underestimate that a little bit when they get into it. But just like anything you do, you get out of it what you put into it. So if you're a student pilot who's interested in doing it, I'd recommend that, you take the time to invest in studying on your own, because a flight instructor can only do so much with you in a 1 or 2 hour ground lesson. But if you're taking the time to study the knowledge that you need to know to pass a check ride on your own, you'll get a lot more out of it and the training will go a lot quicker.
All right. Awesome. Do you guys train for other careers in the airlines aside from pilot?
So we just at McAir Aviation, we do only pilot training. And it's not just airline pilots. Like, the aviation industry is huge. So, most people think like, oh, I'm going to go to flight school and I'm going to become a pilot. They think, oh, that person's going to go fly for an airline, right? That's not always the case. There are private charter operations out there. There are private owners who want to hire pilots to fly for them. So, there's the operations like, NetJets or FlexJet that fly private people from point A to point B. So you could do something like that. There's operations out there that what we call Part 91 operations that fall under Part 91 of the FAA regulations. There's parachute jumping operations, or people who go fly for energy companies that fly power lines and things like that. So the industry itself is not just a one track way to the airlines. Like, if you want to be a pilot and you're not interested in a career as an airline pilot, there's a ton of different avenues that you can go down.
Awesome.
But here at McAir, we focus on pilot training. I will say we're part of a larger organization, Spartan Education Group, Spartan College of Aeronautics and Technology. We have locations around the country, and just down the street here from McAir is our aircraft mechanic school. So if you're interested in a career as an aircraft mechanic, we also provide that as well.
Okay.
And we do that in various locations around the country. But we here at McAir focus on the pilot side, but our larger organization does also offer mechanic training. And there's a large demand for that in the airlines as well.
Yeah, I bet. So what makes McAir different from other flight schools?
I'm going to say it's the genuine sense of community that we have here. I mentioned earlier that everybody here has a passion for aviation, and that's wonderful. I think you'll find that anybody who loves aviation and at any flight school that wants to fly airplanes, they love it, right? But here at McAir, we've done a great job of fostering a sense of community. I feel like all of our flight instructors have, great personal relationships one-on-one with their students. It feels more like a family here instead of a, big corporate flight school that kind of turns into a pilot factory where you just come in the door and go fly and go home. We don't have that here. We have a wonderful sense of community and great relationships that we build here in the building between, all the way from the top down for management to the flight instructors, to the students, to our admissions team, to our finance team. We're all on the same page and we're all here for the same reason. And that's to, create well-rounded pilots. And it's a really fun job to come do every day.
Yeah. Well, okay. So we're in Colorado. We've got the mountains. Do the Colorado mountains create like unique challenges or opportunities for students that, other schools may not get because they don't have those things?
That's a great question. And it's actually one of our selling points that our admissions team talks about when we have potential new students come here. When we provide tours, we're talking about different aspects of flight training, and we talk about the airport, and we have a control tower here. We talk about our aircraft, but one of the other things that we talk about is the environment here in Colorado. Mm-hmm. Because we're at a higher elevation. We have altitude considerations with our airplanes. On a really hot day, you're flying at a higher altitude. Smaller airplanes are not going to perform quite as well as larger airplanes, but Those are all things that you learn throughout your flight training, but also the mountains do present some different weather patterns, different changes in wind direction. But in my opinion, I think it's a great thing, but for a student pilot to learn how to fly in an environment like this, because they're exposed to those things, compared to, let's say that I do my flight training somewhere in Arizona where it's just, sunny skies, clear, a million all day long, and you're flying from point A to point B, but you're never really exposed to a whole lot of different conditions, right? You could still get your pilot ratings in an environment like that, but it's not doing a whole lot to create a really well-rounded, critically thinking pilot who maybe did their training in an environment like we have here in Colorado. So I think it's a great benefit that we have here, that we provide our flight students, because they're exposed to all sorts of different things in an environment like this.
Yeah, I think learning how to fly in Colorado would be pretty cool.
Oh, it's great. I love when I go fly with students. We take off, and our practice area is to the north of the airport here, and it kind of hugs the mountains. Yeah. So you're just flying around all day staring at the Rocky Mountains, and it's gorgeous.
That's super cool. So kind of on that same line, like what's one view? And I have questions about like the cockpit, because it seems to me, and this could be just me knowing nothing, it seems to me like the windows are pretty high. You're kind of seated lower where all the instruments are. Like, how much do you actually see out from the cockpit? Can you see the runway? Can you see everything?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So you can adjust the seats in the cockpit, so you can sit a little higher. If somebody's a little shorter, you're not staring at the dash the whole time, and you can actually see outside. So when we talk about getting a private pilot's license, the entirety of the flight training is focused on looking outside the airplane. So it's visual, what we call VFR, visual flight rules.
Yeah.
Your private pilot rating is done. I mean, obviously you have to look at the instruments in the airplane and, monitor the engine gauges and look at your altitude and your heading and all that stuff. But aside from, you don't want to be focused on that the entire time. You want to look at it, and then your eyes go back outside. So you're completely learning how to fly the plane visually, through visual references, looking outside, looking at points of reference on the ground to figure out where you're going. And all of that is done under the private pilot training curriculum. Now, when you move into your instrument rating, that is where you no longer look outside. You learn how to fly the plane just looking at the avionics in the cockpit. Okay. So you don't use any visual references outside. You only use the instruments in the airplane, and learn how to fly from point A to point B using just what's inside the cockpit. So that's a little bit of an explanation on the difference between looking outside and using the instruments inside the cockpit.
Yeah, that's helpful. What's like one view from the cockpit that everyone should experience at least once, or what's your favorite view?
Honestly, here at this airport, it's these mountains right here. I mean, when you take off and you're looking at what's in front of you, it's like, this is incredible. I can't believe that I get to come to work every day and fly in the sky and look at what I'm seeing. I mean, everybody thinks it's gorgeous looking at the mountains on the ground, but you get a different perspective when you're in the air.
Yeah.
And it especially, if you're flying around like sunrise or sunset, with the sun setting behind the mountains, if you're doing like an evening flight, it's absolutely gorgeous. So I would see, aside from the mountains here in our environment, if you ever get up and get the chance to see a sunrise or a sunset from the sky, it's a beautiful sight.
Awesome. All right. Well, shifting gear just a little, do you work with any of the local schools or organizations to introduce young people to aviation?
We do. Yeah. Our admissions team visits various high schools in the area. So between, Westminster, Arvada, Broomfield, the whole area here in Jefferson County, we do a lot of outreach with high schools, and they'll go to the high schools, and they'll have a lot of high schools actually have aviation programs for young people who are interested in a career in aviation. We have a lot of high school students who come here and take their written tests to get their drone rating. So that's kind of part of a lot of the aviation programs in the high schools. But, like I said, our admissions team goes there, and for students who really want to make a career out of it, we host a lot of events, tours around here for high school students who are interested, and we have a number of high school students who are student pilots with us. So yeah, we do a lot of outreach in the community with high schools.
And have you worked with students that are maybe like really scared when they first come to you, like afraid of heights, or they really want to make this happen, but they're actually terrified? And how do you work with that student to get them through that?
Yeah, I think it's just it comes down to a lot of coaching. I would say for somebody who really wants to make this a career and is interested in aviation, if you're like deathly afraid of heights, maybe this isn't for you. But in general, maybe people are a little nervous or have reservations about it at first, but when they take that discovery flight, they see how safe it actually is. And it's really not that scary. Maybe what you thought in your head about flying in a small airplane is not the reality. So reality usually takes over, and people see that it's actually a very safe operation, and it's fun. So once people have that experience of a discovery flight, that typically goes away, the nervousness and the anxiousness about heights or whatever it may be. And then, if a student is having issues as they progress through, if they decide to take the leap and actually do it, and they're having issues or concerns throughout their flight training, I mean, that's what I'm here for. Like I said, I've been doing this my whole career. I've worked with thousands of student pilots over the years. And it's just about having a conversation, seeing what their concerns are, hearing them out, talking through whatever their concerns may be, and helping them any way we can.
Got it. Do you do tours if somebody wanted to come and tour the facility?
Absolutely. Yeah, we're open 7 days a week. We're actually only closed for 2 holidays. We're closed Thanksgiving and Christmas, and other than that, we're open every day of the year, every day of the week. So anybody who's interested in coming to check us out, if you or taking a discovery flight, if you want to come check it out, come see us. Our door's always open.
Fantastic. I'm going to link your website in the notes so that people have that and can look that up. What is the process if somebody wants to reach out for a discovery flight or a tour, or inquire about becoming a pilot?
Yeah, so our contact information is on our website, McAirAviation.com. So yeah, go to our website and there's a contact form, or I can also put my contact information in the chat here. If anybody's interested, you could reach out to me directly if you don't want to go through the website, and I'd be happy to set you up for a tour or a discovery flight.
Awesome. Sounds good. We have one question from a viewer. Flight training activity at RMMA is a hot topic. How do you balance the needs of pilot training and citizen comments regarding noise and flight patterns?
That's a great question, and I'm glad it was actually asked. So we are totally aware of the noise concerns and noise abatement procedures. So what we make a very conscious effort to make sure that all of our pilots are following the voluntary noise abatement procedures that are outlined here at the Rocky Mountain Metro Airport. We make sure that we're abiding by all altitude restrictions, all FAA regulations, avoiding populated areas when we're out doing our flight training, so we're not constantly flying over people's houses. I will say that a big reason that we are starting to do stuff like this at McAir and getting more involved in the community is because we do feel like we have an obligation to create category awareness and just provide general education to the public on what we do. So we're aware that there's a lot of members of the community who have concerns about aircraft noise, but we found that if we just have conversations with concerned individuals who are worried about the noise or what we're doing, and just educate them on what we do, it typically results in a way better outcome. So we do everything we can to talk to our student pilots and make sure all of our flight instructors are following all the noise abatement procedures, not just here at BJC, but at the other surrounding airports in the area, Longmont, Boulder, Erie, Greeley, all the airports that we fly in and out of. We make sure that we're climbing out at higher rates, get up and out as quick as we can. We avoid, overflying residential areas when possible. I do think that one thing that is important to note is, the airspace around BJC is controlled airspace. So, within 5 miles of the airport, we're having to do what ATC tells us to do. We don't have a choice, right? And even before you actually enter the airspace, about 10 miles out, if you're inbound to the airport, you're already making contact with ATC, and they're kind of already telling you what to set up for and do at that point as well. So I think that's important to note. If people see an airplane flying over their house or their neighborhood and they're concerned about aircraft noise, there's a lot of different considerations. And I would say that I promise you that person is probably not just flying over your neighborhood because they want to, or trying to be a nuisance or anything like that. But we take it very seriously, and we understand the concerns in the community, but we do everything that we can to educate our student pilots, our flight instructors, and just general members of the community on what we do. We have the noise abatement procedures posted all around our building, and on the gate that's going out to our ramp. We reiterate it constantly to everybody who's flying around here. So
yeah, sounds like communication is
glad it was asked.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. Is there anything else? We're about out of time. Is there anything else that we didn't touch on that you would like folks to know?
No, I think this was a great conversation. As I just mentioned, this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to get more involved in the community and surrounding area. We want to create category awareness for flight training because a lot of people just don't know that this is a career option. There's a huge demand for pilots and aircraft mechanics, and that's what we're here for.
Great. Let's see. Thank you, Tom, for the thoughtful response. Thanks for the question again, Dave. And I have linked your email address, since you mentioned that was okay, on here so people can get a hold of you directly if they need to.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, this was a great conversation. It was great to have you on. I've never talked to anybody about this, so this is fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, well, I appreciate the time and love educating people about aviation anytime I can.
Awesome. Sounds good. Well, thanks for joining us, everybody. And for everybody who's rewatching this later, thank you, and have a good rest of your week.
Thank you.